Sarita, salúdenmelo, por favor.
No, 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 por favor.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this WBC Talks. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic. But first, let me introduce Xochitl Lagarda. She's the director of WBC University. Xochitl, how are you?
I'm so happy, Victor. Well, here in Mexico, we all are, and also in Canada, where Pat is, and in the States, with all this football mood. Okay, so we are like in that mood. Maybe we can share a little bit during this WBC talk. But I'm also very happy because we have today here Pavel, who was appointed by Mauricio, our president, to conduct the first seminar for officials in Euroasia. And the thing he has to share with us today is very important because many of the officials over there were or are amateur officials, and they are in the transition from amateur to professional boxing. So then he well, we invited together Pat to join here us, and he was just in Dubai. Pat is also working a lot with officials from all over the world and working in this very important matter, the transition between amateur to professional. So it's going to be such a great WBC talk today. And also I invite Julio. He's from Costa Rica, the president of the commission. And I was in Costa Rica 2 weeks ago, and they are in the same, exactly in the same process, okay? Trying to figure out how to train all these officials from professional, I mean, from amateur to professional. So I think in many parts of the world, this is happening, and we need to be ready to hold their backs, being there for them is the educational part. So welcome, everybody. Welcome, Pavel. Thank you for accepting. Thank you, Pat. I must say that Pat is in his son graduation from university today. So thank you for being here. Thank you. And welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Xochitl. Well, you just introduced him. Pat Fiaco, Pat, how are you? This is a special day for you. Congratulations to your son, and thanks for being here with us.
It is an absolute pleasure to be here. I look forward to the discussion and really focusing on a very, very important topic right now, and that is that transition from amateur referee and judges to professional referee and judges, in particular the referees. That's really the biggest transition that we have to focus on, because it's even though the differences are very few, but the very few differences are really, really big in regards to how the referee can affect the outcome of that of a professional bout if they're not transitioned properly to be a professional style referee.
Thank you very much for being with us. And now, Pavel.
Well,
Pavel, where?
he's having he says he's experiencing some
Yeah,
trouble.
I have some kind of problem with my camera, so I will try to put my camera on my mobile phone. But for now, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, because right now in Czech Republic we have an evening. It's a great pleasure to be invited to this talk. So. For me, I've been in boxing for 20 years. Right now, I'm also a member of World Boxing Sports and Competition Committee, but I'm an active and proud active official for WBC. And as Sochi said, Many people are from amateurs, so the best boxers are from amateurs, and also many officials go through the transition. But it looks as the same sport, but it is very much different. And during this talk, I would like to stress what is, from my point of view, the key factors the officials from amateurs who are turning pro should focus on.
And we spend a lot of time in Saudi Arabia together in the Grand Prix. Wonderful time, Pavel. It was great sharing there with you.
Yeah, honestly, it reminds me the old times with amateurs because these marathons were very often in amateur boxing where there were many rings and several days of competition because the big continental and world championships it took almost a week and we did it together, especially the very first one. 4 days of boxing from the early morning till night, and it is about focus. We will be speaking about that later.
Yeah, it was a boxing marathon with 18 fights, 16 fights, 4 days in a row. So it was really, really amazing. And it was good working with you. And also, as Sachel mentioned, Julio Perez that is around. I'm not sure if he's on because I see his microphone off. But Julio from Costa Rica, it is very interesting also the work they're doing there. And of course, the WBC is willing always to help. Uh, let's start, Pat, Pavel, whomever wants to talk first. Would you explain what it is boxing, but it's not the same? What is amateur boxing?
You know, it's interesting because I guess I would be the one that's on the leadership side going through the latest transition from amateur to professional. And for those of you that know, I'm the chairman of the UAE Athletic Commission. It's the newly formed athletic commission in the United Emirates. We've taken over the responsibility of regulating professional boxing in the UAE. And of course, I'm also the executive director of WBC Eurasia. We are in the we are now in the process of doing exactly what we're just talking about, transitioning amateurs to professionals. And the biggest differences that we have to pay attention to is really the difference between what is a sport where in amateur boxers are fighting for medals, if they happen to be at a world championships or Olympic games, whereas in professional boxing, they're fighting for a purse. It's a living for them. They're gonna be making some money. So as a referee, it's really important to put yourself in the mindset that you are going to have an effect on the income of a boxer. Um, so their performance in the ring is going to be based on you as a referee. In amateur boxing, you're there to protect the safety of the boxer, which you do in professional. But in professional boxing, as a referee, you're going to give an opportunity for the boxer that has taken a bit of punishment an opportunity to recover. There is no thing as a standing 8 count. In amateur boxing, we have the standing 8 count. That standing 8 count isn't to penalize the boxer that was hit hard, but it's actually to award them with an opportunity to get a rest and recover. And that's a big difference between professional and amateur boxing. We had a situation actually just recently in Dubai where we are now in the process of transitioning those amateur referee and judges to professional, where it's a real learning curve for them. In some cases, bouts were stopped too soon. They didn't give the opportunity for that boxer to recover. And that's only because of their habits in an amateur bout. In an amateur bout, you're there to make sure that if that boxer's taking punishment, you're going to initiate that 8 count. So there's a bit of a transition. There's going to be extra training that's going to be involved. Understanding that for amateurs, you've got 3 3-minute rounds for the most part, whereas in the pros, you're going to have those 4 round, 6 round, 8 round bouts. In 3 minutes, 3 3-minute rounds, there's a lot of activity happening. They've only got 3 rounds as a boxer to win that bout. And as a referee, you have to understand that the action is going to be swift and quick. Whereas in the pros, it takes a bit longer. There's a feeling out process. But once again, ensuring that the boxers are able to do what they do best. So that's probably the biggest transition, is allowing the boxers to actually fight, giving them the opportunity that if they did take a solid punch, that they can recover, that you're not automatically interfering. And that's going to be really important because it's about their livelihood. They're there to earn money. And also, obviously, you have to make sure that they're safe. But the worst thing, in my opinion, in professional boxing for a referee is the referee interferes way too soon, way too quickly. And that was demonstrated a couple of weeks ago in Dubai. It's a good lesson for our referees that we're transitioning from amateur to professional.
I love the way you put it, because many people said, professional boxing is a business, so you're keeping the business. You're talking about letting a fighter to recover instead of helping the show. That is really different. You're giving the chance to someone to win the fight. You're giving, under the rules, you're giving him the chance to recover.
Correct.
So this is very important, very, very important. Pavel, would you like to add something?
Yeah, yeah. What Pat mentioned, there are, let's say, the obvious differences between professional and amateur boxing. The differences in gloves. So in amateur boxing, the boxers are using the Velcro gloves. Also, the sizes are different. In amateur boxing or Olympic boxing, there are 10 and 12 ounces. In professional, we have 8 and 10. Also, the color of the vest. So in amateur boxing, you are wearing a vest. Also, there is a continuous discussion about the helmets, because men in amateur are not using helmets. Women are using the helmets. So 3 minutes, 3 rounds for men, but also for women in amateur boxing. In professional, we have 2 minutes. But you know what? These are the differences, more technical one. But I think that it is very much important to focus on judging and refereeing, because many officials and also coaches and boxers are watching the fights, and they are, let's say, evaluating. So they are somehow judging the boxers very often using the same scoring criteria in amateur and in professional, but there are big differences, even though this looks like a same sport. But this is something probably we should take care most in this talk, to talk about our mental computer in professional boxing and the difference in judging.
Yeah, as you said, there is a path when you become a boxer, and to mention just quick, and it is the way it always is been told. If you're good, if you're really good, you become a boxer, then amateur. After you train, learning boxing is not quick. You need 3 to 6 months just to learn how to walk on the ring, and then defend yourself, position, and then punching. Everybody thinks that you will get in the gym and start throwing punches, and that's the last thing you do. But amateur gets there, gets in tournament, start proving himself, start winning tournaments. Then you think in maybe representing your nation in Olympic games, and then you can turn professional. Many times, or many fighters, depending also on the political issues, like Teofimo Lopez, I mean, Teofimo Stevenson will never turn professional. And there's the question between how would it be Stevenson against Muhammad Ali? This kind of questions between amateurs and professionals. But it is totally different. Not because you were a great fighter as an amateur, you will become a great fighter in professional. We have examples like Sugar Ray Leonard, like Vasil Lomachenko, that he could fight for a professional title in his second fight. But the basics are different. And I would say, I just would like to start with the training. Do you know the difference in training between professionals and amateurs, Pat?
In regards to the boxers or the officials?
Both, please.
Well, in obviously if you're going to become a referee or a judge, having that amateur background makes a huge difference. If you're a former boxer, you have a better idea of the movement in the ring. To be a referee, you have a better understanding of those the scoring blows, what the criteria is, because you've been a boxer. And of course, the understanding the criteria as a judge, and as Pavel said, and as you said, it's important. I mean, in many cases, when you have bouts that are very competitive, that are very, very close, and it's almost like a flip of a coin to decide who's going to win that bout, then you have to start realizing that there's specific criteria that you have to start paying attention to. And I think it's much easier if someone has had that experience as a former boxer, whether it's professional or amateur, to have that experience. You have a better understanding of what that is. You know what to look for. You can see that amazing ringmanship, the skill set, that technique, the ability for boxers to move around the ring, hit but not get hit, know when it is to put on the pressure. Those are all characteristics and criteria that sometimes will make that decision for you. If it's bout is that close, then you start looking at that ring generalship. How aggressive were they? Did they carry the bout? All of those things, because they have to be awarded for that. You just can't run around the ring and keep your hands up and not get hit. You have to throw punches. And sometimes I think we make a mistake by awarding the wrong type of criteria. The criteria is very, very clear. So having that experience is huge. I just want to go back to something, though, that's really, really important. You made a comment that some boxers can automatically transition into professional boxing right away, no problem. I don't think that can be said for referees. I've witnessed it myself on several occasions where, yes, you could be the best amateur referee in the world. You could be the best. But as soon as you put them into a professional boxing, unless you change that mentality, like we talked about, understanding that in professional boxing, you're there to make sure, first of all, that there's a competitive bout. Yes, that the boxer doesn't get hurt, but more importantly, that those boxers are able to win a bout. Sometimes a boxer is going to get hit pretty hard. You have to make the decision as a referee, and this takes experience. It takes some time to understand this, that when they get hit like that, do they have the ability to be able to make a comeback? Can they recover? How quickly then can they recover? So sometimes what happens is as an amateur referee, your instinct is to what? When a boxer gets hit really hard and you can see him get hurt a little bit, you're automatically going to start the 8 count immediately. Whereas in the pros, you're not going to do that. You're going to allow that boxer to recover. That might mean, though, that boxer is going to hit the canvas. That might mean that they're going to be laying helpless against the ropes. That's when, of course, you're going to start your count. If the boxer goes down, you begin the count. But you're beginning the count so that boxer obviously is going to be able to make that recovery. The referee obviously knows that the boxer that initiated the punch, that could possibly be a 10-8 round automatically on the judging side. But we know ourselves that there's been several boxers that have hit the canvas that have come back to win the bout. And as a referee, you ought not to be taking away that opportunity for that boxer to recover. I just think that that is the biggest difference when it comes to refereeing. The biggest difference is knowing when to step in as a referee, when to ensure that that boxer is able to continue. They're going to get hit, but I just think it's a good training mechanism. By the way, I think a good training mechanism, and Pavel did a really good job of this when we were in Tashkent a couple of weeks ago or last month. I think what's really important is that new referees observe really good referees and really good bouts to see what how active they are, what they're doing in the ring, when they know when to initiate some interference. Um, I just think that that transition is going to take some time. It's not going to be as quickly as a pro boxer becoming a pro after amateur. It's going to take some time. And I can tell you this, based on my experience just in the last few months in Dubai with the UAE officials, they are very good officials, by the way, really good officials. But out of maybe 7 or 8 of them, I would suggest that 3 of them right now are going to be selected to be regular referees. The other 4 are going to need some work. And that's not a bad thing, because the worst thing you can do is be able to promote a referee that really shouldn't be promoted. Because you're not helping them at all. You're not helping the referee at all. But more importantly, you're not helping the boxers, and you're not helping our sport. So there's some transitioning involved, and that's going to mean some really, really good training.
And I would say, especially if you've been experiencing and living amateur boxing, like in the former USSR, that amateur boxing was always there, but not pro. So you don't have that reference that makes the difference. When you only watch or only experience amateur boxing, it is a little harder to understand because your mind is set to protect the fighter. Pavel, what is the difference in a country like we experience in Saudi? You have been in big fights. You've been in Tashkent. It's a beautiful city. Did you go to Samarkand?
No.
Oh
Unfortunately, not.
man, that is the best.
Yeah. I definitely also I haven't seen the beauty of Saudi because
Yeah.
when I'm working, I'm focusing and not doing the sightseeing. But definitely, I would like to see
You
that.
need to do
You're
it.
right.
But what would be for this kind of countries that are just coming up from amateur to they're changing and now they have
Okay.
professional too? I'm going to ask the same thing to Julio Perez from Costa Rica because that is a really interesting point of view. Costa Rica is in the middle of big boxing, amateur and professional, and now they're turning everything around to develop boxers. But first, Pavel.
Yeah. So when we are talking about transition from amateur to professional, uh, in the region, in let's say Eastern Europe and post-Soviet countries, and this is let's say the Euro-Asia region. So the professional boxing doesn't have a big roots. Okay, there are big stars like Golovkin and other big names, but you know what, the base, the promoters, they are not the big promoters. And I think that for boxers, the biggest let's say challenge is to get used from, because if you are good in this let's say countries, in these countries, if you are very good, if you are in a national team, if you were at Olympic Games, and if you are a medalist from Olympic Games, you are a national hero. So probably the welfare for the boxers in amateur is very high. You are paid like a pro. You are getting a lot of money from the government, and therefore many boxers simply didn't want to go pro because there are no big promoters. Because for promoters, big promoters, you know what? it is business. You need to sell pay-per-view. So therefore, the you are interested in boxers from big countries. So I think that this is very much important to understand that simply many boxers, great boxers, successful boxers, didn't want to turn pro because the welfare for them is much better in amateur. Uh, but there is a big potential for our sport because the quality of boxers. If you look at Olympic Games, so the one of the most successful country was Uzbekistan. So in Uzbekistan there are so many talents. And not only in Uzbekistan, also in other Euro-Asia countries. So I think that this is good. What is very much important, honestly, is that boxing is still at the Olympics. So thanks to World Boxing, because the finance goes from the government, and it is thanks to the, let's say, the Olympic status. So the training of the boxers, the top boxers, is on a very high level. Okay, there is a different style of training because, let's say, amateur boxing, you need to box 3 minutes, 3 rounds, 3 minutes, but let's say 6 fights in a big competitions to win the gold. So in total, the number of rounds is very high. But in professional boxing, you need to box 12 rounds in one day. So I don't want, let's say, skip that part because it is more for coaches, not for officials. But for officials, I think that having an experience from amateur boxing is useful. It is not necessary. I know many great officials who weren't boxers, who did not have any amateur experience as officials, and they are great. But it is really much helping, and not only with the what Pat said, with the movement in the ring, because for the referee it is the most important, but also from, let's say, the mental point of view, from, let's say, the pressure which is on the officials, because when you are officiating the big fights, the pressure is on you. So the very much important, and the most important, is the focus of the officials, but also it is how you can deal with the pressure, with the stress which is all around you. And this is something which is helping you if you had, let's say, a good international career in amateur as an official, because officiating the finals of continental championships or Olympic qualifications or even Olympic Games, it is very much comparable to the atmosphere of the big fights, and also the pressure. So from my point of view, this is good if somebody has the experience, but it is not necessary, and it is very important to distinguish between. And for, let's say, and there are also many officials who are combining amateur and professional, and it is not easy to combine that. Honestly, I quit it with amateur officiating, just to focus on professional boxing, because there are small differences, but if you are in a ring, especially as a referee, you need to take a decision in a second, and you simply, it is my advice is that there should be, let's say, the specialization on professional and amateur. Of course, it could be combined, especially in a small countries. Also, promoters like that, because in many countries there are shows that at the beginning there are amateurs fights and then there are the professional fight. So in a small countries, small shows, it could be. But for, let's say, the top officials, I think that it is also important to choose the way. Olympic or amateur or professional.
Yeah.
Pavel, if I can just follow up on that a little bit, just to make a finer point on that. You're absolutely right, Pavel. I think a referee needs to make that decision, or the commission, whoever's within the country. I think a professional referee can only be a professional referee. I don't think transitioning back and forth from amateur to pro is a good idea, because it's in the heat of the moment that you're making decisions. And if you're doing an amateur bout in the afternoon, and in the evening there's the pro show and you're doing a pro show, it takes a special skill to get that mindset. I think that in professional boxing, you're either a professional referee or you're not. I think you can judge both. I think you can judge both amateur and you can judge both pro, but I believe you're either going to be a referee as a professional or not. That's going to be our recommendation in the UAE and in Eurasia, is that you can't do both refereeing and judging, or refereeing as a professional and amateur. You can judge both, but you're either going to be a pro referee or you're going to be an amateur referee, because the differences may be little, but they're too much of a difference in regards to the outcome of that bout as a referee.
But there's one more thing, and also, of course, we have talked about boxing in Las Vegas, in London, in huge places, and Saudi, in Dubai. But then we can talk about boxing also in a very small town far away from the capital. And I have seen many times that the referee, it is committed to work in 4 amateur fights before the pro start. So the needs are different in any place. So many times I will understand. I really understand what Pat is saying, that the best thing is to be only in one. But many times boxing or boxing commission that is not that big in a place needs you to do both. One of the other things that you mentioned, Pavel, it is really interesting that the game changed for everyone: promoters, arenas, governments, sponsors. Julio, how is Costa Rica doing right now? Your microphone is off.
Okay, now,
Yes.
all right. Well, let me explain something about Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, we had a big problem with the amateur association, because they don't give you the permits to the boxer to make the change to pass to professional, because Costa Rica has a good Olympic team, looking for a medal, Olympic medals, and that's the reason they give you the space to the other fighters to make the change to pass to professionals. Okay. Also, happened the same with the officials, the referees and judges. Happened the same, and we had our commission, and we're talking about the professional boxing. All commission with all commissioners, all judges, all referees, all people who don't take the rules of the day, and we have to make many, many changes. I've been involved in the amateur for many 20 years in Costa Rica, but I have made also the change to pass to handle the Costa Rican professional commission, because nobody in Costa Rica wanted and had some experience to do it. And I tried to help to the professional boxing in Costa Rica to rescue some boxers, because I think we have very, very good people and very good boxers like Yocasta, Ana Gabriels, Chiquito, and now David Jimenez, Medallita. Okay, And I know we have many others boxers with a very good future, and that's the reason we want to try the help to these people to take the most important glory in the box. That's that's the reason that we're involved right now in the professional, and we're looking the help to make the transition, because we know we are a small country, but the people here in Costa Rica want to learn. The people want to learn. People want to do the things good. Our commission is working now for 3 years in the boxing and professional boxing, and we had many matches this year. And with us, we are so happy with us. But we know we have to learn more and try the best things and the transitions.
And we are very proud of Costa Rica because it's a really green country because of nature, but also it's a green and gold team country because of boxing. Sochil told me amazing things that you're doing there. Congratulations. I want to
Thank
go
you.
to very specific things. I think we already talk about the whole world of this. I would like to be very specific so we can move forward as much as we can. We talk about this, of course, for a promoter is different. Many times a promoter doesn't get any money. That's why he needs sponsors or he needs government support. So the amateur kids will not pay a lot, only inscription or this kind of things. But what is the difference for a referee on ring in an amateur fight? He needs to protect the fighter in both cases. I think, Pat, you really established, and it was really interesting, the measure or the level of protection in both. But what are the other things that a referee needs to overlook or look specific for this?
So, in the referees, I mean, the objective, the primary objective, on the amateur side is first of all ensuring that there's no fouls being committed, that the punches are very clean punches, more so amateur than pro, with the knuckle portion of the glove, of course. The technical boxing side of it is really something that the referees will pay attention to. In the pros, there's going to be lots of infighting, and the referee has to allow that infighting to happen. In the amateurs, what happens is, as an observation, is there's not going to be a whole lot of infighting. The referee will break them up, sometimes a bit too soon, but that's just the nature of the difference between the two sports. And then, of course, having that the 10-point must system as a referee, having the ability as a referee to make sure that those boxers are able to score those punches without committing a foul. Like I said, I think the observation of a referee ensuring that to know when to actually interfere in the bout, when to step in the bout. There's a saying that the best referee is in a bout is when at the end of the bout, when somebody asks who was the referee of that bout, and if they don't remember, you did a pretty damn good job.
That you're right.
And in some cases, I mean that's where I see the biggest awareness for a referee is knowing when to step in. And again, it's not easy. For some, it is easy, but for others, there's a bit of a transition. The referee as well. Sometimes there's many distractions around the ring, and the technical zone, the field of play in amateur boxing, but the technical zone in professional boxing sometimes can get a bit crazy depending on how the commission manages that technical zone. So you've got all kinds of possible distractions as a referee. you got to make sure that you're relying on your judges to do their job, the supervisor to do their job, the ring inspectors to do their job, and your focus is strictly on those two boxers in the ring. That's where your attention must be focused on. And sometimes, as I said, on the amateur side, you've got all kinds of other things you're paying attention to.
And it's really different many times also because when you have an amateur tournament, you have a fight every 16 to 18 minutes on the ring. It's a different fight, and it's really quick because you have so many fights and so many fighters around. So it is not easy. But let's go now. I think we already established this, but let's go to the side of a judge and different systems that used to be and that have been working together now. How hard it is, or what is the main difference for a judge that is an amateur or professional, Pavel?
Yeah, that's a great topic because you know what the biggest controversy is honestly in judging, refereeing. Okay, there could be, but the biggest discussion usually are about judging, and there are, let's say, in current Olympic rules, there are, let's say, three criteria for how to judge the bout. Scoring criteria are these: number of scoring blows to target area, technical and tactical superiority, and competitiveness. It is very much important. It is quite similar to the scoring criteria we have in professional boxing, because in professional boxing we have a clear and effective punching. So in amateur, well, we have a number of scoring blows. So it is, let's say, it looks like the same criteria. So judges are counting the clear punches, but the biggest difference is one word in that definition, and that's the effective punching. And that makes the biggest difference in scoring. Because in amateur boxing, in Olympic boxing, you are simply counting. So simple jab is one punch. So you are counting one in your mental computer, because you are also using a mental computer in amateur boxing, in Olympic boxing. But the simple jab is for one, but the really strong hook is also for one. Even if there is a standing 8 count, it is again only one punch. But in professional boxing, we evaluate not only the number of the clear punches, but we evaluate the effectiveness. So actually, one really effective punch can eliminate, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 clear, easy jabs. And that makes the biggest difference. And this is what we focus on during the seminar to describe to all the judges these differences. And we were focusing really on how to measure the effectiveness of the punches.
And I would also add, Pavel, if you let me, the difference also between is that maybe 4 rounds are not that many, but when you're fighting 6 rounds, then you can develop a strategy. You can do something else. And usually I remember the time when you were an amateur or Olympic fighter, and the only thing you need to be is a machine gun, throwing punches and how many lands, and because they are with the button. So it was crazy. That is not boxing. That is not doing anything. I mean, maybe you can just put a punching bag with sensors and count who gives more punches, and that's the winner. But now
Yeah,
boxing
yeah.
is a strategy. Now boxing is different. Now boxing, you have to think, you have to look for the open window or make the window to open. I think it's totally
Yeah.
different. And now amateur fighters are looking to be professional, so they're mixing things.
Yes, 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 you are absolutely right. The current system, the 10 mass point system, which we are using both in Olympic and in professional style, is a great one. Because I remember when I was judging, there was a machine that we were counting. If we saw the clear punch, we need to push the button. Five of the judges needs to push the button within 1 second. If the majority of if three push it, then it was counted like a real point.
Mhm.
If you were not in those three, then you were penalized. So also this system what makes that the officials really they're scoring really clear punches and some from some angles. If you have, let's say, five officials around the ring, so from some angle, one or two official can see the clear punch, but three others who are on the other side simply cannot see that. So the current system is good. The big difference is also, let's say, how often in Olympic boxing 10-8 is used compared to a professional boxing, because 10-8 in professional boxing is a extreme difference in number of effective punches. So very rarely you see 10-8 in professional boxing without a knockdown. In Olympic boxing, you see much often 10-8. Also, the big difference is including the standing 8 count. So if there is a count in Olympic boxing, it simply doesn't mean that you are losing the round. In our professional boxing, mainly based on the discussion we had recently, and I like the example of what is Mauricio using, that knockdown is like a home run in baseball. So simply scoring a knockdown, you cannot lose the round in professional boxing. But in amateur boxing, if the knockdown, there is no extra points for knockdown. So if you are, let's say, throwing a lot of clear punches, and then one punch came and you are knocked down, simply it deducts only one scoring punch from your mental score,
Yeah.
and you easily can win.
I would
Of
like to
course, yeah.
I would like to go with Xochitl, that she has a few questions. I just want to mention, going back again to fighters and the difference that we have. Fighters like Sergio Maravilla Martinez, that he fought something like, I have it here, 41 amateur fights. And Canelo Alvarez, he only fought 46 amateur fights. Meanwhile, Vasil Lomachenko, he fought almost 400. He won 396 fights and he lost only one. So that is a kind of difference that you are facing in boxing. Xochitl, all yours.
Thank you so much. Well, I just have some final questions first to Pat. And I want to ask him, for someone who is moving from amateur to professional officiating, what are 3 things must they improve or demonstrate first?
That's a great question. I think, first of all, that having that real understanding in the ring as a referee, ensuring that you are not interfering with the bout. Let that boxer that took a solid punch, let them have the opportunity to recover. Don't stop that bout. sometimes it's a really tough decision to make because it might mean having that boxer hit the canvas. They might have to take a knee or actually get knocked down. But start the count. Don't wave the ball. Don't wave that fight off. Let them recover. They'll be back on their feet. They're professionals. There's a big difference there as well. Understanding the fouls. We haven't talked about fouls too much so far in this talk, but some boxers, experienced boxers, are really good at committing fouls without the referee seeing it, and it's a real disadvantage to the other boxer who really is focused on providing a clean bout, being very tactical in there, being effective in there. So they're understanding the difference between a major foul and a minor foul, and knowing when a point needs to be taken away, whether it's an intentional headbutt, whether it's an intentional low blow, whether there's constant holding going on, interfering. There comes a time when, as a referee, you need to understand that. And the third thing, and this is going to be sound simple, you need to do your homework. You really need to start paying attention to videos, studying bouts, looking at some actions of referees, some difficult bouts that might be out there. There's so much on YouTube that you can look up. There's so many videos out there that you can see. Really pay attention, and even have a video of yourself. Look at yourself in the ring. What do you look like in there? Do you look like someone that's in control of that ring? Because I always tell referees, the ring is your office. You're in charge of that office. You're responsible for what happens in there, good or bad. And how do you look like in there? Do you have the confidence? Do you carry yourself in such a manner that demands the respect of the boxers? And the only way you're going to do that is by actually having someone critique you and accept that criticism. We had an official in Dubai that I provided him with some feedback, and he actually was telling me what I was doing wrong as a as a supervisor. Well, we never used him again. Your job is to really accept the criticism, and you're not being criticized because someone's trying to be mean to you. We want you to be better. If you're better, we're all better. So those are the three things that I would recommend.
Thank you, Pat. And I agree with you. This WBC talk must have a second part, third, fourth, whatever. And we need to speak more about rules, local rules, fouls, scoring, so many things to speak. And for you, Pavel, can you give 2 or 3? Well, 3 because Pat gave 3. Okay. Yes, please. 3 concrete recommendations to improve consistency between judges and referees in the transition to, maybe they begin local, but then they begin national, and then they begin like international, please?
Okay, so it is probably I'll be repeating a little bit, Pat. So first of all, it is about studying. So you need to be expert in the rules. So you need to study the rules. When I'm going to let's say a big fight on the airplane, I'm usually going through the rules, and I've read that rules so many times. I'm also doing the translation to the Czech language because I'm doing some courses for the Czech officials. But even though I can say that I'm an expert in the rules, and I did a lot of rules meetings, I'm always reading that rules. So for referees, because you have only few seconds, or not few seconds, you have a second or less than a second to take a decision in the ring. So you need to know. Also, what is helping is to visualize. If you are not experienced, so you do not have that in your memory, but do the visualization. When you are going to the fight, do the visualization. That means, for example, what I will be doing when there is a knockdown, when the boxer is pushed out of the ring, when there is a low blow. And for judging, the best tool is the remote scoring. So please sign for remote scoring. It helped me a lot at the beginning of my career. Also, it is, and if you think that you are good, that you don't need it, do it for your self-confidence, because then in, let's say, when you are working with that pressure, so sometimes it is a very close competitive round, and there is a pressure, there is a local crowds are shouting, local promoter is pushing, and at that time, it is the most important to be consistent, to be focused, and believe in yourself. And remote scoring simply supports you in that, because if you did let's say tens or hundreds of remote scoring bouts, and if you see that you are in the, let's say, the majority with a very good officials from our WBC family, then it is very much helping. And the very last recommendation is find a mentor, find a, let's say, or somebody calls it sponsor, but nobody sponsors you. The people are sponsoring you with their time. But I remember that there were a few people who helped me at the beginning of my career. For example, Carlos Pelayo. Thank you, Carlos, very much. I will never forget when I was at the beginning. You were my first instructor, and you were also, and it did not end when the course is over. The people can also reach to me, but reach to other officials, experienced officials who are close to you, who have a relationship with, because they can help you, and that's about the feedback. This is not criticism. I always say also in my business that feedback is a gift. So I'm giving you something. Don't take it as a criticism. If I don't care about you, I will not spend my time to giving you a feedback. When I'm giving you a feedback, that means that I want to help you. So this is my recommendation.
Thank you, Pavel. And for everybody who's listening today, the courses at WBC University at level 1, I think they're very helpful for that transition. And like Pat recommended, we ask the referees in this case to record themselves so they can have feedback from the very seniors, experienced one. And I can always reach you or Pat or the WBC family all over the world is always willing to help with, sharing education. So join the community. Remote scoring is at the university. There you will have the chance to compare to everybody. And I will invite and ask Pat and Pavel to help us, like maybe do a manual or something for key points of the transition besides the courses we already have, but like some introduction, because there are so many, like you mentioned, there are so many amateur boxers, but there are also so many amateur officials, and we need to help the transition for them so the sports keeps going. So with this, besides if Victor has to say anything else, I will.
We're about to close, so I'm going to ask for a last comment to Pavel and Pat, but I think first you have a exercise. Would you like to do it first?
Well, yes, because we always speak here about concentration, that it's important. I think in amateur it's important for officials and boxers and everybody. So let's put the exercise here, please. Let's see if you're putting attention. Okay, first the question, I'm going to translate because it's in Spanish. From 1 to 60, which number we're missing? Which number are we missing here? You can write your answer if you can. Okay. 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 I think Jose Farro got it right. Zach, Alex, Abulham,
Okay, for 7.
Alexander, Rabik from all the world. They got it right. So 47 was the one that was missing. Thank you. And Victor, the microphone is yours and from our guest. Thank you.
Pavel, last comment.
Okay, so please watch as much professional fights as possible. Go to WBC University. Definitely sign for remote scoring and find a mentor close to you who can help you. And I'm looking forward to see the other officials at the big events. Hopefully, Victor, together at the big fights as we were blessed to be.
Thank you very much, Pavel. Pat, last comment.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think he was here, but I think we just lost him. Well, I just want to wish him a really wonderful day with his son. And I would say that the biggest recommendation here is get a mentor. Get your Socrates, or if you're not that old, get your Yoda, but get someone that can tell you his opinion and keep always watching fights, and put yourself in those positions. What would you do in that case? Thank you very much for being here. I want to thank, of course, Xochitl Lagarda and our president, Mauricio Suleiman, and see you next Thursday. Take
Thank you,
care.
Victor. Thank you.
Next week, I must say we're going to have the Ring Officials Committee. The team of doing 4, they're doing the class is going to be very interesting. It's going to be about judging. And I'm so thankful to you, Pavel, for accepting the invitation today, and say that to Pat also. Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello.